Okay, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Lucy. I am the facilitator today, so you'll hear a little bit from me about the logistics and housekeeping of the day. I'll introduce our speakers, and I'll hopefully keep things moving along on track. I am going to start just with a little bit of housekeeping to get us set up, and then we will move fairly swiftly into the content of the day. I just want to give a couple of reminders about some of the logistics for those who are in the venue. I know that there are also a group online who are who have their own logistics organised there. In terms of the people in the room, you'll see that there are everybody's got a lanyard. We love lanyards. There are people from ncat, the National Centre for Accessible Transport. There are people from my team, Thinks. We are all here to help. So if there's anything that you need during the day, please grab one of those speakers and one of those helpers, and we'll do our best to assist. There are a few bits of logistics around the venue. So toilets is always the first one. The nearest toilets are just around to the right from the venue. I think lots of you will have found those by now. There's also a changing places toilet, which is accessible to us. If you just give one of the helpers a nod, we do just need to get access to that. It's in a different swiped controlled bit of the building, but that's available. We have a quiet room and a working space, both of which are just back through the main concourse. Feel free to use those as you need to. And again, we're happy to help anybody to access those as needed. For assistance animals, there is outside space at the back of the venue, and we'll try and make sure that we support those where we need it. If there's anything else you need, let us know. And lastly, at the bottom and most important issue, there is Wi-Fi in the building. For those of you who need it, there's no password, so you can access that. That's just a little bit of basics around the housekeeping I wanted to cover before we start. And now I want to introduce the day and what we're going to be doing and who's here in the room. So as I said, my name is Lucy. For those of you who aren't seeing me, I am wearing my habitual black and navy, but I have got my bright pink facilitation shoes on, which make me feel confident and also visible. I work for an organisation called Thinks. We are facilitators and researchers. My team are here to shepherd us through the day. We are joined by a wide range of participants today. We have the team from ncat, from the National Centre for Accessible Transport. Some of you will be very familiar with ncat and their work. For some of you, they might be a bit newer, so we'll have some introductions there. We also have representatives from a wide range of other disability organisations and disability-led organisations. We have the Research Institute for Disabled Consumers, we have Motability, we have a whole range of speakers from different organisations. We have people from industry, from the transport industry. We have people from the policy world, from transport operators. They're also a really important part of this puzzle. And we, most importantly, have those of you who are our participants. We have a whole group of people who are joining us online. And I think for those of you in the room, we can show you the online room now. Have a little bit of interaction. Everybody's got their cameras up. Okay. We can see a few people online. Hi, everyone. For those of you who are online, we're just showing you on the screen, so you can feel free to give a little wave. And vice versa. There you go. Thank you. That's never not going to be slightly awkward, is it, to do that? But it was really important to us that we were able to. It's great to have so many people in the room, but we also wanted people from across the country and with a range of different experiences to join. So we have this online space. The online space will replicate what we're doing here, so we'll follow the same discussion formats. We also have some people who are joining us via a live stream who won't be taking part in the workshops but are able to watch the presentations, the discussion up on the stage. So that's, again, trying to reach a kind of really wide audience. So that's something a little bit about the who is in the room. Just a little bit about how I hope that we can work together today. And I think none of this will be new to you, but we would like today to be collaborative and to be constructive. We would also like to be open about the challenges as well as the opportunities. To do that, we just ask that that everyone contributes to a kind of respectful and courteous discussion. It's really important to hear where you disagree, where your experiences are different, but we can do that in a way that is welcoming to everyone. In terms of just a few points around ethics and confidentiality, we will take some notes from the sessions, but we won't attribute those to individuals. It's important that what we do here today has an impact. And part of doing that is that we have to capture your ideas. So that's the purpose of some of the note-taking that we're doing. We also, as you know, we are streaming the sessions from the front. We're not streaming the breakout groups, so those are closed. We have some photographers around. The ncat team are keen to let people know that this is happening. As you came in, we've allocated lanyards. For those of you who've indicated you'd prefer not to be in any of those images, that's what the colors of the lanyards indicate. And that just means that even if you're don't need to worry about the photography at all. If you're accidentally in a picture, we won't use that. That lets us make sure that we're respecting the permissions that you've given us there. Okay, that's quite a bit from me about our kind of introduction. I want to tell you a little bit about today and the plan. You will have seen our agenda. We want to start really by outlining the challenges that the National Centre for Accessible Transport see for accessible transport. That's based on some of the research that they've been doing now, but also really on the wealth of experience and existing knowledge that all of the partners in this room have. That's an important starting point, is to set out what that challenge is. We then want to move on and start thinking about what are some of the options. And the key question for me today is the National Centre for Accessible Transport is a great opportunity. It's an opportunity to move forward some of the actions, innovations, interventions that we have, that collectively as a community have looked for. It's also an opportunity to build an evidence base. It has huge potential, but it's not infinite. So there has to be a sense of prioritization. And to me, that's the really critical thing that we want to understand today is what's our collective view on where ncat should put its energy, put its time and its energy and its focus. Where should ncat use its convening power to bring together people who can affect change? Because this is a success only if things are different next time this kind of group comes together. So I think that's helpful to have in mind today, is that's yes, we want to understand the challenges, but some of those really are very well understood. And some of you, I think, will have been repeating those for a while. So it's really important that we're also thinking about what's the most effective use of this opportunity. And we'll do that through a series of breakout group discussions and small groups. For those of you who we've spoken to in advance, we've tried to allocate you to tables or rooms that suit your needs, but also the topics you're interested in. If you haven't been allocated initially to a numbered table, feel free just to join one, and we'll do our best to make sure that that's in a setting that works for you. That's a lot of the day, is working through what are the opportunities and the options for ncat to make progress in this space. We want to do a bit of prioritization this afternoon to get to a sense kind of collectively of what's most important. And then we'll have a kind of closing session. We'll come back together as a whole group, online and in person, to wrap up the day. There are various bits and pieces through the day, like, talking to each other. We really hope that if you would like to, and if it's something that works for you, that you will just meet some people and talk to them about the things you're interested in. If you want to do that, we'd really welcome that. Feel free to think about kind of a couple of things that you'd like to talk about. Put that on your lanyard if you like. There are Sharpies on your table if you want to write, talk to me about whatever topic, or you can just rock up to people. That's also fine. But we hope that some of what we'll do today outside of those formal sessions is give people an opportunity to share their experiences, their opportunities and their insights together. That's really enough from me, I think. I would like to really, at this point, get started properly on the content. And to do that, I'm going to hand over to Cameron Malik, who's the CEO of Disability Rights UK, who's going to set us off today with our keynote speech. Cameron, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Lucy. Does that work, the mic? Yeah? Can you all hear me? Okay, I don't need to shout. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this building. We are based here, Disability Rights UK, just down the corridor. This is where we work from. Really nice to have you all here. Lovely to see some familiar faces, lots of new faces as well. So I want to start by asking you to imagine waking up one morning, excited for a job interview that you're off to. only to find that you're then stranded at the bus stop because the access ramp on the bus wasn't working. Or maybe picture a long-awaited family reunion, cut short by a train station without step-free access. Or imagine that same station and trying to navigate it as a blind person or someone who's partially sighted. Or having a sightseeing trip spoiled because you have to navigate cobbled street, risking falling out of your wheelchair. And that's something that has happened to me, and I broke my leg because of the poor design of some space. But these aren't isolated incidents. These are daily realities for countless disabled people in our country. A couple of years ago, I went on my very first country walk. I'm in my 50s here. So just imagine, for all of that lifetime, that was the first time I was actually able to get into the countryside. I've always enjoyed looking at hills, the countryside, lakes, beaches, but it's often been from a car or some other vehicle. And I've always wondered what it would be like to go beyond the road and into those landscapes. So I booked a holiday a couple of years ago in a cabin on a farm. The owners had realized that accessible holidays were potentially a niche business. And we all know that farmers are struggling, and so it's a really innovative idea that they had. And they invested in accessible features on the farm. One of which was this fantastic four-wheeled buggy that was very low to the ground, picked up a lot of speed, which is something that I love, but could go into the landscape. And it was the first time I was able to go onto the hills with my family next to me and actually get right next to sheep. Never done that before. But I've had to wait that long, and it was in one space in the UK. I absolutely loved it, but it's an isolated experience that I've had. To me, transport isn't just about getting from A to B. It's a lifeline to education, employment, social connections, and essential healthcare. I often describe it as the glue that binds together our life and our life choices. When transport systems fail to be inclusive, they deny us, disabled people, the fundamental rights that we have to live our lives to the fullest. The cost of exclusion is personal, financial, and cumulative. It results in missed opportunities, increased isolation, and a heavy economic burden on us as disabled people, but also on society as a whole. But I don't want to just dwell on the problems and barriers. I've been talking about those for my whole life. And as I said, I'm now in my 50s. I want us to talk about solutions, the innovation that it takes, and working together to bring about solutions to these barriers that all of us as disabled people have been experiencing our whole life. So talking about solutions, I want to talk about how we might do that through something called co-production, an innovation that is led by disabled people, working together with disabled people in positions of influence, control. We can do better and we must do better. Importantly, co-production is not about consulting disabled people. It's about working in a genuine partnership. It's about involving us from the start and at every stage of the design and implementation process. It's about valuing our lived experience and expertise. Working in that way will improve the results that we see. We must involve disabled people from the start, and we will ensure that together identify the barriers that we are seeking to overcome, and that we are asking the right questions from the start as well. Working collaboratively with disabled people, we gain a richer understanding of the barriers and potential solutions. And together, we will reveal previously unforeseen barriers and provide a wider selection of solutions. Universal design benefits everyone, not just disabled people. But also if you think about parents with buggies, travelers with wheeled luggage. Design universally, and we see a greater uptake of public transport and active travel, helping our country to achieve things like our carbon targets as well. If we ensure that disabled people can access all forms of transport, we will increase the ability to work, to study, to volunteer, to be active, to have connected lives. If we adopt co-production we must adopt co-production because we have the opportunity to create innovative solutions to the barriers to the barriers and blocks that have kept us, disabled people, from reaching our ambitions and potential. When we co-produce, we see incredible results. We see transport solutions that are truly innovative, user-friendly, and sustainable. We see a sense of ownership and empowerment amongst disabled people and broader society. And most importantly, we see a transport system that genuinely works for everyone. For many children, their first sense of freedom comes from the first bicycle. It expands their physical world and increases their confidence. Cycling is a cost-effective form of transport and fitness, but most disabled people are denied access to it. Adapted bicycles and cycles and equipment are expensive, and it's not something that's seen as a priority for disabled young people. So I urge you to challenge yourselves today, commit to co-production in this work. Disabled people should be in the lead in decision-making. Listen to our voices, make those the priority, and pay disabled people for their expertise and knowledge. Together we can create a future where transport is no longer a barrier, but a bridge to opportunity. A future where everyone can travel freely and confidently regardless of their ability. A future where transport is genuinely inclusive. As a disability rights activist, Judy Heunemann once said, "Accessibility is a basic human right, not a privilege." Let's make those words a reality. Let's build a transport infrastructure that reflects the diversity and richness of our society. Let's build it for all. Thank you very much. And I'm going to now hand over to Paul.
Thank you, Cameron. Can everyone hear me at the back? Are we okay? That's great, thank you. So those are great words, Cameron. Thank you very much. So good morning, I'm Paul Herriotts, and I'm pleased to see so many people in the room today. I can't tell you what a relief it is that everyone's turned up. So thank you very much. And I know people have had long journeys, and if journeys were easy, well, we wouldn't need to be here in the first place. So I really appreciate the effort that people have put in and the support that you are giving us today. So a warm welcome, as we've said, and as you heard from Lucy. I'm really pleased that in the room, when I look around, and I think Lucy mentioned it, we have such a wide range of people. So we have individuals, participants in our panel, we have representatives of disabled people's organisations, we have transport professionals, and we have people working in policy. So that is a really great mix of people. And, you know, we've been hearing a little bit about co-productions from Cameron, so it's really great that everyone's in the room today. I hope it's a fun day for you all, and you get to meet some other people that you might not otherwise meet, and hopefully we can all learn and from each other and share our experiences. So great mix of people in the room, and thank you again. So ncat, as we call it, the National Centre for Accessible Transport. Let me just tell you what that is. So firstly, whenever we mention ncat, we must thank the Motability Foundation, and I think there's members of the Motability Foundation here today. So we thank them for their generous funding, without which we wouldn't have been able to get ncat off the ground, so we thank them for that. So what is ncat? So ncat is what we term an evidence centre. So we are tasked with providing up-to-date, robust, good quality, high quality evidence about accessible transport in the UK. We are an evidence centre providing evidence. And how do we do that? Well, we do that through research. And if we think about the research that we've done, so we've already done a number of projects in our first year. We launched in February last year. We've done a number of projects which have already reached completion. I won't go into those projects in too much detail because the outputs of those projects will be informing what you do in your groups later on. So that research has come to fruition, and it's going to help decide on what we do in the day a little bit more. So we've done research. How can we do research? We can't do it without our great partners, but we can't do it without participants with a lived experience of disability who help us in that research. In our first year, I was just checking the numbers this morning with my colleague Gordon, and many thanks to Gordon and his organisation for supporting this part of the work, but we have approaching 2,000 people already who have joined our panel, our community of accessible transport, and those people bring a lived experience of disability and a great deal of understanding of the topic, and that's why we're here today. We have members of the panel here today, and I thank those panel members for making long journeys. I don't know where Ian is. I saw Ian earlier. He's come all the way down from Edinburgh. I don't know if Edinburgh wins the prize for the longest journey, but we really thank them for their commitment and support of ncat. It's much appreciated. So we've been doing research, we've set up our panel, and I should also mention we have a cross-party parliamentary commission. I can see Clive and his colleagues from Policy Connect who've done fantastic work in many areas, including setting up that commission. Thank you, Clive. Thank you, Robert. That is led by Baroness Gray Thompson, and many of you will have heard in the media some of Tanny's recent experiences with transport in the UK. Okay. What we'd like today is to learn from your experiences as well. And, Cameron was saying, look, we acknowledge that there are problems and challenges, and we haven't got a magic wand, unfortunately, to make things better tomorrow. But what we do have with this co-production, this way of working, and with good people in the room, and a good mix of people, we have the ability to focus on what ncat does next and to provide the right evidence to decision makers in the future so that the voice of disabled people is heard and accessibility is dialed into projects from day one. Super important. So a great role today from everyone who's turned up. Thank you for helping guide what we do in the future. We'll also be hearing from Michael, my colleague Michael, a little bit later, who's going to tell you about a really exciting initiative. So we're going to put out a funding call. We're going to encourage great ideas in this area. And Michael's going to tell you a little bit about that. And again, today's activities will help Michael focus exactly what we look at in that funding call. So great stuff happening. Really pleased that everyone's here. Again, a big thank you for making such a commitment to get here and support us today. And I really hope that you all have a really good day, get to know each other. Moreover, have some fun, enjoy your day, and welcome again. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Paul, and thank you, Cameron. Okay, so what we're going to do now is to watch a short film produced by the... Just going to get the clicker working. We're going to watch a short film which describes what would accessible transport mean for you, and this hopefully will give us a little bit more kind of context and get us thinking. Hopefully this will just play straight off, and everyone online will see it as well. Let's give that a go. We'll keep clicking. More in hope than expectation.
Accessible transport mean for you? We asked disabled people, and here's what you told us.
What would accessible transport mean to me? It would mean freedom.
For me, it means something that's reliable, something that's easy and safe.
A service that's timely but also considerate of disabled people.
It's allowing everybody to use the transport networks as best as possible.
It would just take the stress away and the anxiety of travelling.
Anything that enables me to travel at any time and anywhere.
Independence.
Being able to have a life of my own.
It gave me freedom, it gave me quality of life.
Being able to travel as easily as I used to be able to travel before.
means that I've got dignity and independence in my travel.
Transport for everyone, whether you can walk on, use crutches to jump on, or like me, use a wheelchair.
It will be transformational, so yeah, bring it on.
Okay, and that was some of the members of the CAT panel that Paul mentioned there. So some of whom we're delighted to have in the room with us today. I think a really important set of voices there. And I suspect that some of that is familiar to you, but hopefully that sense of what the possibilities are is something that will underlie our discussions today. Okay, what I'm going to do now is invite our next set of speakers. I'm going to thank Cameron and Paul again for your contributions. We have next set of speakers who are going to speak to some of the themes that ncat is considering as it develops the next stage of its work. So we'll just, if there was a moment while we reset our stage and invite our next set of speakers up. Thank you again to Cameron and to Paul.